The chaos inside your head, the chaos inside your head. Why do you care so much about so much bullshit? Have you ever stopped to think about all the useless crap taking up space in your mind? People you don't like, deadlines nobody will remember next week, that relative who thinks being an entrepreneur is opening some trendy business. The number of likes on your last post, all of that renting a luxurious triplex in your brain. Montaigne, a French philosopher, old, bearded, living in a castle with a vast library, had already figured this out centuries before we drowned in notifications. He realized most human suffering doesn't come from the real world, but from the mental reality show we watch 24 hours a day without commercial breaks. So what was his plan? Cut the shit at the root, stop giving importance to what doesn't matter. Radical, right? But it works. The problem is we live as if everything is personal. Your crush doesn't reply. You feel inadequate. Your boss doesn't praise you. You feel like a failure. But none of it is about you. Your ego, the narcissistic drama queen, turns every detail into Shakespeare. And spoiler alert, Montaigne would call that stupidity wrapped in vanity. Overthinking is just another kind of egocentrism. Think the world is judging you all the time? Everyone else is too busy judging themselves. Think they'll mock you if you mess up? Maybe for 5 minutes. Then they'll go back to thinking about their hair or their bills. Want an example? Social media, that anxiety amusement park. You post a photo, then spend the day watching likes, interpreting silences as rejection, obsessing because someone liked their friend's photo, but not yours. If Montaigne saw that, he'd laugh, pour some wine, and return to reading about human nature. Meanwhile, you waste neurons on digital vanity. He was busy trying to understand why humans suffer so much with themselves. Here's a tip. Install a filter at the gate of your mind, like a bouncer at a club. If an idea isn't useful, true, or necessary, block it. But won't that seem cold? It's not cold, it's mental hygiene. Rather than caring about everyone's opinion, focus on what you think about yourself when you look in the mirror. Instead of giving space to empty criticism, focus on what you want to do. Even if it seems strange to people living on autopilot, at the end of the day, the equation is simple. The more emotional garbage you carry, the less space you have to be free. Montaigne didn't give a fuck about any prison that wasn't in his own mind. Maybe it's time you thought about doing the same. The art of sitting down and watching the circus burn without getting burned. Imagine the world ablaze. People panicking, fights erupting everywhere, toxic work meetings, social pressure, family drama, relationship fights, and you, holding your coffee, expressionless, with your soul shielded. Not because you're insensitive, but because you learned Montaigne's secret. Just because the circus is on fire doesn't mean you have to join the show. You don't need to fix everything, weigh in everywhere, suffer through every emotional catastrophe passing before you. Guess what? You don't have to. Montaigne was basically the patron saint of selective wisdom. He literally locked himself in a tower to think. While the world descended into plague, wars, and corrupt medieval politics, he was just there, philosophizing about life, death, and why no one can stand themselves in silence. In other words, while the world melts down, you observe without losing your peace or getting drawn into the bullshit. The problem today is everyone wants to have an opinion, join every fight, be right in everything. That's a VIP invitation to mental collapse. You don't have to win every argument or save everyone from their hole or try to fix the chaos. Most of the time, the chaos never asked for your help. Take a modern example. Someone toxic starts spewing venom in a meeting. Your instinct, push back, defend yourself, prove your point. But Montaigne would whisper, just watch. Sometimes that's more powerful than any answer, because the drama needs an audience. If you don't sit in the stands, the show won't happen. This isn't apathy, it's strategy. The art of not getting burned starts when you understand the world will always be in crisis, always. If it's not a pandemic, it's inflation. If not your toxic boss, it's existential crisis. And if you let yourself be dragged by all that, you stay in emergency mode forever. Montaigne taught with fine irony that we're ridiculously vulnerable, and taking everything seriously is the fastest route to insanity. Sometimes the smartest thing is to sit in your imaginary tower, read a good book, and let the gladiators self-destruct in the social arena. So when the circus flame rises, breathe deeply and ask, does this require action? Or is it just a spark trying to steal my attention? Staying calm in a hysterical world is not weakness. It's a superpower. Existential crisis. Congrats, you're alive. If you're asking if this makes sense, if you chose the right job, if you'll ever be truly happy, welcome to the club. You're not broken, you're lucid. If you've never had a crisis, you're either a robot or too numb to feel alive. Montaigne understood that doubting, questioning yourself, getting lost, that's not weakness, it's intelligence. Only people who drop autopilot can face the abyss and say, okay, what the fuck is this? Society hates that kind of clarity. Crisis? Nobody. Have this productivity course, this affirmation mantra, this half-assed distraction to look like you're fine. But Montaigne would say the opposite. Dive into the void. Feel the discomfort, because running from the crisis is running from your humanity. Everyone wants purpose, legacy, meaning. Few want the void that comes first. And instead of facing that discomfort, you run to distractions, to productivity junk, to shallow content. But when Montaigne felt that existential unease, he wrote, observed himself, exposed himself, knowing ignoring the crisis is like patching a leak with chewing gum. Eventually, it blows up. Don't think you'll emerge from the crisis like some guru. Crisis is chaos, ugly, filthy, brutal. You only grow when you face it. No magic formula, no motivational bullshit. You grow because you realize you're not alone. Everyone carries this existential hole, and sometimes all you can do is laugh at your own tragedy, sip coffee, and move on. So when that low hits, instead of running, pull up a chair, look into the void and say, okay, sit with me, let's talk. Other people's opinions? That's the golden prison you build yourself. Easy to say, I don't care. Hard to live it. Post without filter, say no, own your contradictions. Montaigne today would have maybe 3 followers and 0 posts because he was too busy being honest with himself. He didn't curate a persona for virtual pats on the back. He wrote about his faults, fears, doubts, shamelessly, because he knew this simple and brutal truth. Whoever lives to impress others stops existing. Want out of that prison? First, open the cell. Second, stop treating others' eyes as mirrors. Third, start living. And here's the kicker, you will die. And so will I. Everyone will. Not heavy, it's just the only universal certainty. What you choose to do with it defines the rest of your life. When you accept time is finite, you stop pretending, proving, chasing perfection, and you finally start living with presence, truth, lightness. Montaigne said, Philosophizing is learning to die, but maybe philosophizing is learning to live, knowing life ends. So next time the world feels too much, breathe, remember Montaigne, and wisely choose what deserves a spotlight in your mind.